What's up, writers? Today is our first lesson in our literary essay unit, where we're going to be forming opinions about characters from stories. And today, I want you to understand that we use structure to help form how our essay looks and grab content that fits with inside that. Let's check it out. Okay, writers, so today, the reason that essays are so important and why we're going to spend some time talking about them is that it might be the most useful of all the writings units that we'll talk about. And the reason is that we've actually seen students make a difference in our own community and school by expressing their opinion and writing it out in a way that was convincing. For example, our dress code here at the middle school changed in the last few years because students expressed their voice or opinion to let the people that run the school know they didn't really like what was going on with the dress code. Now, in addition to that, in life, say if you want to go to college, you're going to have to write some sort of essay, probably convincing them why you should attend their school. When you send emails asking for something, like say when you say to your teacher, how can I do better in your class? You might be thinking, well, they'll have something to tell me, but the reality is you might need to convince some teachers that the effort you're putting in should be a quality. So how are you going to convince your teacher of that and make them believe that, yeah, you do deserve an A? Well, in this unit, you are going to find out the key structures that set up a successful opinion essay. But we're going to be looking at it through the lens of characters from stories that we'll have read together. I think the first story that we can probably agree upon and not need to read it, I think the first story that we should take a look at is one that we don't even need to read. So, our work for today is actually to flash draft an essay. So that means we're going to write as fast as possible and complete an essay today. I know, we just wrote essays as part of our pre-assessment and it took some of you much longer than that. But I wasn't helping you and you had to think of topics, and so this is going to be much simpler. So the topic that we are going to write together as a team has to do with the three little pigs. The what? Yeah, it's a classic. So, the Three Little Pigs is that story about the big bad wolf and how he's trying to eat them. I know, it's kind of a silly fairy tale, but it serves our purpose that we are going to be able to talk about it together in a way that we don't have to go look up a bunch of details, because the details are less important than the structure. The structure is what we'll pour those details into. Before we go any further, it's important that, at least in your groups, you agree upon some of the details. Okay, you don't have to agree upon every detail, but some of us might not have a clear memory of how the Three Little Pigs story goes. So right now, we are going to pause the video and talk to our partners about how does the Three Little Pigs story go? Like, little pig, let me in. Pause the video. Welcome back from the break. Here's the deal. Now that we agree on most of the details of the story and remember how the story goes, we could probably spend a whole week or more, like we did with our pre-assessment, writing this essay, and we won't do that. To streamline that process, I'm going to give you the start, or our thesis statement. If you remember back to our pre-assessment, we called it our claim. Our claim for our essay. What are you claiming? What is your opinion? And what are you going to be supporting then with all of our information later? So here is our thesis that you should write down on your assignment. The third little pig is an admirable character. Admirable. You might not even be able to tell how it should be pronounced or how it sounds or what it looks like, but it is up here on the screen. So just trust me when I say the meaning of admirable is that you admire. The meaning of admirable is that you admire someone, or this person is worthy of being admired. And if you admire someone, you look up to them. You sort of think, maybe I could be like that person someday. So yeah, maybe someday, if we eat our broccoli, if we skip a dessert, if we study hard for our tests, we could be as worthy of admiration as a pig. The third little pig. That's important, the third one. So just like when we were in our narrative unit, we need to grab a structure that's going to help us decide on why the third little pig is admirable. Now, in the case of our narrative, it was a story mountain that helped us separate our internal story versus our external story. And in this case, like I said, the structure we're going to start with is really helping us figure out why he's admirable. So the structure that you can see on the screen and that you're going to need to talk to your partners about is the third little pig is admirable because reason A, comma, reason B, and most of all, reason C. Now, in your groups, you should talk about the reasons why the third little pig might be considered admirable. Pause the video. Okay, so listening to your conversations, I'm sure they went something like that he's brave or hardworking. Probably has something to do with the idea that he built his house out of bricks instead of like straw and twigs, because those are not quality building materials. So that means that we're going to need to put that into our structure if you haven't already. So here's how my thesis statement is going to go. The third little pig is admirable because he works hard, because he is brave, and because he outwits his enemy. Outwit as in he's smarter than him. He almost like tricks him. He beats him at being a thinker. Okay, so at this point now we have our claim. That claim is that first part. It's the opinion that he's admirable. Then we've supported that with our 3 reasons, but here comes maybe the toughest part. And I'm sure that you were already thinking of some of these in your head, but we're going to need to stretch ourselves a little bit, and that's why you're in partnerships to work together. And you might even practice writing in the air as you recite some of these details to your partners. And of course, your partners might, use some of your ideas just like you might use some of theirs. So we now are going to use our boxes and bullets structure. So what we'll do is we'll start with our thesis statement. For our purposes, going to be like our introduction for us, our first paragraph. It includes our claim and then the 3 reasons why the third little pig is admirable. So on that first box in your paper, make sure you put that in. Now, from here on, we're going to be making each one of our next paragraphs called body paragraphs. Each body paragraph is going to deal with one of the reasons. So the first reason for me was that, let's look. So the first reason for me is that he works hard. So what I'm going to need to do and practice with my partners is thinking of the details for that first reason. So if it was me and I was practicing with my partner and they were you're my partner. Thanks for being my partner. So the first reason is he is a hard worker. And so I'm going to start by repeating that statement. Go ahead and listen to me, and this is what you'll do with your partners. The first reason the third little pig is admirable is because he's a hard worker. Okay, so I've repeated my claim and that one reason. Now I'm going to start to name the details for why he works hard. He builds his own home. Yeah. And that would have taken a lot of work. I mean, he builds it out of bricks, which are really heavy to move. So again, that would have taken a lot of work because he would have had to have carried them back and forth and back and forth. Not to mention, each little brick has to have cement put in between them. What else could I say? He built all 4 walls, a roof, and a chimney by himself. Honestly, I think that's about it as far as how he works hard. So I'm going to wrap it up and just say, this shows the third little pig works hard. Done. So with your partners right now, I want you to practice with one of your reasons that's not the same one as what I just did. So I want you to practice with your partners now and choose one of your reasons that's not the same as mine, that he's a hard worker. And do your best to help each other think of what those details might be. Pause the video. Okay, writers, I'm going to kind of explain what I did when I was talking and kind of writing in the air what my paragraph was. And I want you to pay attention to sort of the steps I took. So first of all, I restated my claim and reason. So this is sort of like my mini thesis for my paragraph. This is just for one body paragraph. Now, after I cite an example, like I mentioned a detail from the text about why he's a hard worker, after I said one of them, I need to unpack it. Unpacking it is an easy way of saying a harder word, but I think that we can handle the hard word. And the hard word is analysis. We analyze that detail. We say why it matters. We say why it fits with my reason. And it's helpful to use a transition phrase like this shows. And when we say this shows, we're going to repeat what our claim was. So notice that the very last thing I said was, this shows the third little pig works hard, and I admire him for that. At that point, that's transitioned us to our next body paragraph. We've wrapped that up. We've said, hey, this is all I got, and it's enough. So that next body paragraph is going to start by talking about our next reason. So you might say the next reason. So with that in mind, at this point, you actually already know how to write this whole essay. Our first paragraph is our thesis statement, the claim and 3 reasons. Then we have body paragraph 1, which is our first reason, body paragraph 2, which is our second reason, and body paragraph 3, which is our third reason. But I bet some of you are saying, wait, don't we need a conclusion? Don't we need a final paragraph? Yes, and that would make our magical idea of needing to have 5 paragraphs a reality. So here's the best part. Your final paragraph, at least for now, is only going to remind us of what our thesis statement is, which means your conclusion might look identical to your introduction. I want you to understand, though, this is a very basic structure that we're practicing. By the time we finish with our writing unit, you won't be writing just one basic sentence for your intro and your conclusion. There's so much more to it. but it'll be easy to add on to the structure later. So for those of you that like to see something in front of you, here is overall what our essay structure looks like. Take it one little bit at a time. Otherwise, you might be overwhelmed looking at the whole thing. Make sure you fill it out for yourself in the boxes that I put in your assignment. And then guess what? You just flash drafted your first middle school essay. Let's go. Okay, maybe it's not that exciting, but I'm excited for you, even if you're not excited for yourself. Until I see you next time, happy writing.